we're gonna close that school, and then the board's gonna sell it. Let me be very clear. The board president and this board has no intention of closing Jumping Branch School. Since the first day I ran for the Board of Education, I have publicly said, we've closed enough schools in this county. We just had to close one because of the condition of the building. That was not a fun thing to do. So I have no intention, and I don't think any board member, if anybody does, if you want to go on record, you can say it, have no intention of closing Jumping Branch School. In fact, there's going to be some lengthy and very detailed repairs done at that building, and we'll be bringing up later. We're doing that because we want that building to be everything that it can be for that community, and it is our hope that by doing that, there will be more students in that area who will be maybe come back and attend that school rather than go into Raleigh County. And I want to say this. Many years ago, all the schools had to be closed on the other end of the county. I'm not debating the necessity for that, that's long ago. But does anybody have any idea, and that's 40 years ago, of the millions of dollars that have left this county and gone to Fayette County? Does anybody have any idea how much money we would be sending to Raleigh County if we close that school? Because there will be a tremendous number of students in that area who just go on over to that brand new school at Shady Springs. Okay, so Superintendent Warble, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. Please, if anybody comes and brings this to your attention again, tell them, remind them of this statement, okay?
Okay.
All right. So having done that, roll call, let the minutes reflect that all 5 members are present. Mr. Brogan, will you do invocation and pledge?
Our Father in heaven, we just want to thank you for this beautiful day that you gave us. Thank you for many blessings that you bestow upon us, Father. God, we just want to thank you for all the staff that makes Summers County Schools what it is, Lord, from one end to the other. Each one's important. We thank you for each one and what they do for us. God, we just pray that you'd go with us tonight as we go through this agenda. May we give each bullet the proper amount of attention, and Lord, may we use your guidance for all the decisions we make, and may they all be for the betterment of Summers County Schools. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, approval of agenda. Is there any adjustments anybody needs to make?
make a motion that we approve the agenda as read.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Brogan, second by Mr. Angel. This board approved the agenda as presented to us by the superintendent. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained. 5 votes affirmative, this agenda has been approved. We have at this time, I think, a public comment. Brett Whitten, and briefly the statement here. Situation at Jumping Branch School. You have the floor, sir.
We have a little situation here at Jumping Branch School that I think that it can be worked out easily. We had a couple years ago, we had the same situation come about. And what it is Marvin Deeds Road has a 30-foot right-of-way.
Say that again, I didn't.
Marvin Deeds Road has a 30-foot right-of-way that goes in between the Jumping Branch Schoolhouse and the Tabernacle Church.
Okay.
And they have painted 23 feet of it. In other words, there's a stripe on the one side, there's a stripe on the other. But in the mornings, the principal has a couple cones that she sets out beside the road on the Marvin Deeds Road, which is at the end of the schoolhouse. And when these cars come in, they unload the kids, which some of the kids are on the left side getting out, some of them on the right. And basically there's kids going about every direction. But if you're coming out of there, you can't get out. Especially if you're driving a tractor trailer or big trucks like that we have, because you have to take the left-hand side. Well, all the cars filtering in from the Raleigh County Way, or coming in from Nimitz, or coming from around Robin Roost, it's just a continuous flow, so you just gotta sit there. So this morning we had a little situation. I sit there until they slowed down, and I seen there wasn't but one car left, so I get out. I talked to Melba Basham, she's the janitor there. I said, Melba, I said, I'm gonna move these cones back so that I can make the turn just to get out of here. Well, I moved them back, got back in the truck, and some lady come back out there and moved them back out. And I walked back over and I told her, I said, you know, I moved these cones for a reason. She said, this is Board of Education property, and you're not moving. And I said, well, okay. So I get back in the truck and I hug these cones to get out of there, and I barely clear the tabernacle sign by like 18 inches. So I called the Department of Highways. Gordy is going to get in touch with the traffic people that controls that, and so they can properly mark it, because that needs to be 30 feet coming in there, and them cones don't need to be sitting down any closer than that, because they leave them out all day. You let the kids off in the morning, you pick them up in the afternoon. But when we had the situation a couple of years ago, they had everything worked out, and that guy retired and just dropped the ball. But what they had proposed was you'd pull in, you go around next to the Tabernacle Church, pull in where the bumper blocks are there. You let your kids out there, they're gonna put a crosswalk across. That way the assistant people at the church, or not church, but school, could help them get across, their mom and dads could help them get across, and it was a controlled flow. Right now, you got kids that's getting out in the school, in the church parking lot, they're coming across, you got cars pulling out, because they dropped their kids off on the sidewalk, and I just think there need to be a little better solution. And I just want to bring it to your attention. I know that you wasn't aware of it, or maybe hadn't even thought of it, but it's getting in and out of there, because like if I'm coming from Beckley, and them cars are there, the only thing I can do, because I can't go past my turnoff, I pull up, if the buses or cars sitting there, I pull the air, that shuts down Route 3 both ways, and I gotta wait till somebody moves. And it's just a bad scenario. And if there's anything that I can do to help you, I'll be glad to do that. That's all I have.
Mr. Whitten, I appreciate you coming forward and making the board aware of this. This is the kind of thing that we, although we don't want to have to hear it, if it's something going on we want to hear it, we won't be getting involved in any discussion as far as the board is with you on this. The board will just say that Superintendent Warville will, and his staff will look at this, and they'll pursue it, and then they can report back to us. But we appreciate you bringing this to our attention. Mr. Warville?
It's being handled right now.
Okay, thank you.
We got it taken
And we
care of.
appreciate
You
you
won't have a
coming.
problem anymore.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank y'all very much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
At this time, we have a presentation from the June Harvest Center.
Yep.
Is that online there?
Yeah, I just want to make sure. Hey, JD, you guys hear me?
Somebody got their mute on, don't they?
Sarah Beth, can you hear me?
We can't hear them.
So it's my fault.
You're not mute.
Oh, it is right here though. Can you click that, or will it work if I do it? How about now? JD, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I feel like I'm on the moon talking to you.
Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, okay.
It was me. So I'm gonna go ahead and introduce you, and if you want to introduce your team, we'll go from there. So let me just tell the board a little bit about you guys real quick, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Basically, this is the team from June Harless. June Harless Center helps rural schools out because back in the day, and they can explain more, there was a gentleman who noticed a couple buses with school names on them. And he just wanted to know if the kids in the city have an advantage of kids out in the country. And I'll have this group tell me if I'm a little bit off, but the whole thing is they, as a June Harless Center, who is named after June Harless, they help out school systems like ours to help leverage resources to provide professional development, which ultimately helps our students. And what we want to do is work with them to help increase STEM, which I know one person is real excited about that in this room. But the other is to help out our elementary teachers with math. And so we get them credentialized in math, because most teachers who go to college, if you're elementary ed certified, you might get 2 classes in math. Definitely 1, but not necessarily 2, and that doesn't necessarily mean you know how to teach math. You might know it, but to know something doesn't mean you know how to teach it. And so we're trying to leverage our resources, working with the June Harless Center, and I'm going to turn it over to JD and have him introduce his team. But I do know this team of individuals do a great job of supporting the country schools, and we're just glad to have them on board for not only this spring, but into the summer and into next school year. And we're going to use a lot of our title monies to help support this, and we also are going to use a lot of that CARES Act money to support this initiative, okay? JD, it's yours.
All right. Thank you, Dave. Yes, we're very excited to be working with Summers County. We're developing a few different programs with Dave, and we're excited to get things rolling. And we're here to talk today about elementary math credentialing, which is the program that we're going to be starting in the fall with you all, with approval, of course. Tara Beth, do you want to kind of outline who we are a little bit? I know Dave did already, but
She needs to unmute herself.
Tara Beth, you're still muted out. Okay, gotcha.
I'm sorry, I got so excited I just took off. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the board for giving us some time to share, and thank you for Dave for telling that story. I think a lot of times we forget to tell that story because that's really where it started. And you know, I'm the program development officer for the Harless Center, and I was able to be around at some of the beginnings of the Harless Center, and I will say that we were small in number but great in purpose. Just like Dave was talking about, that was a really large charge that Buck Harless gave when he gave money to start the center. He really wanted support for rural education. And so our purpose as a team and as we've grown is to support and impact education initiatives pre-K through 16. And we do that mostly in pre-K-12, to be honest with you. We do a lot of things at Marshall, but most of our work are out in the counties in West Virginia. And you know, like I said, 20 years, although it seems like a long time, it's gone very quickly. And we have grown into about 16 individuals with also some partnerships with surrounding counties where we have awesome teachers like Whitney and Penny who have joined us today that share with other teachers in different counties, and that's who would be a part of our staff to come to Summers. So within the Harless Center, just so you have a little bit more background information, we have 3 teams. Today you're going to hear from the STEM team, adding on a couple other friends. And we also have an early literacy team, which some of you probably know about through the campaign for grade level reading. We have a staff member assigned to Summers for that. And in our early literacy initiative, we're serving all 55 counties. And we also have an early childhood team, which we do professional learning and outreach in early childhood, but we also have 2 pre-K sites here locally that we we work, and we're really trying to create a model so we can share that with other counties of how early childhood should look for children ages 3, 4, and 5. So, like I said, I don't want to take a lot of time. I appreciate Dave telling that story to kind of set the scene of what our purpose is. And I'm going to turn it back over to JD and the STEM team and let them share the specifics of the math credentialing program, which I think you're going to be really pleased about for your county. So thank you again.
So I am the math coordinator for the STEM team at the Harvest Center. And we're really excited, like I said already, to be working with you all. We really think that the way to get math started in the right direction when it's currently not going in the right direction is to start from the ground up. We think strengthening the elementary teachers in their ability to not only understand math, but help their students understand math. We really want to empower those teachers at that level to be able to help those students gain not only knowledge in math, but excitement about it. And that's kind of, where this program jump-started. And so we're excited to get it going. And I'd like to share a couple of things with you. Let me see. I'm going to share just kind of a brief outline. Okay. Well, I can't. Dave, do you have the ability to allow us to share?
Probably doesn't mean I know what I'm doing. I do have plenty of people to watch to see if I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, I can do it. It's okay. I could do it without it if.
No, go ahead. See if you can now.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, looks like I can. All right. So, let's
So
see.
many people watching.
Okay. So, are you all able to see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So this just gives you kind of an outline of where we started with this. We started by taking the math standards that are in grades 3 through 5, and we've taken them and broken them up into essentially 5 different clusters. And then from there, developed 12 different professional developments in 4 different time frames, starting in fall semester of 2021. So this will be an extensive in-person set of professional developments for your teachers. It will include 12 full days of professional development for your elementary teachers. This will also follow along with national board guidelines in many ways. You can see here that they'll be including assignments, lesson plans, assessments for all of the units, and also doing video evidence and reflection for each of these units. So it's a pretty extensive work for the people that are participating in it, but at the same time, we really think that the extent is good because it really will empower them with the ability to impart strong mathematics to their students. So I'm gonna, unless anybody has a question on that one, I'm gonna bring up another one real quickly.
I think they're good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let me bring up one other one real quickly because I want to highlight the benefits that your teachers are going to be able to get from this. So, as you can see, your teachers can receive up to as much as $1,800 in stipends over the 2 years of this program, over those 4 semesters. There's no cost to the teachers. They'll be receiving 72 plus hours of face-to-face. That's just the professional developments themselves. The reflections and our being available to those teachers to come into the schools and things of that nature as well would increase that even more. We'll be providing assistance anytime they need help with portfolios or anything of that nature. We would desire that the county recognize them on completion of the program. I realize it can't be any sort of a certification, but it could be a credential is what we're kind of shooting for. Each semester that the teachers participate, they will be able to gain 3 graduate credit hours through Marshall University for continuing education as well. So that could be as much as 12 continuing ed credits for your participating teachers. So that kind of just gives you a little bit of an outline of where we're going with this. I'm going to ask Becky Lewis to share. Becky is National Board Certified in elementary school and has a very strong background in math as well. And she's going to highlight some of the similarities to the National Board Certification course.
Through the National Board Certification, it's really about self-reflection and looking at where your teaching practice is and where it's going throughout the entire process. So that is the way that we have laid out this program, is by the different clusters. Teachers are not just getting a professional development, they're sitting through and leaving with nothing between. They're going to go back and self-reflect on their current instructional practices. They're going to video and take student evidence, and then they're going to watch themselves grow as they implement each one of these strategies and activities as they gain a deeper knowledge of the content standards that go along with mathematics. So it really preps them and gets them ready if they desire to become nationally board certified, because the way that we design the portfolios and the self-reflections and the videoing and the collecting evidence all align with the way that they would go about obtaining their national board certification. I think that's pretty much all I have about that.
No, you're fine.
Any questions?
Thank you very much, Becky. So our 2 developers and presenters are Whitney Stead and Penny Light, both of whom are elementary teachers themselves and have been for quite a few years. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag for either one of you. How many, right? But both of them are very strong in math, and that's why we've invited them to help develop it and be the main presenters for these professional developments. So they're going to speak a little bit more specific about those professional developments for us.
You
Sorry.
Yeah, I can go ahead. Hi, my name is Whitney Stead, and I'm also National Board Certified Teacher. I'm an elementary teacher in Cabell County Schools. I was very excited to be asked by the June Harless Center to start this program, because I feel like there is a disconnect between reading, the trainings that we get in reading instruction as compared to math instruction. So in reading, we are trained extensively in comprehension, phonics, phonemic awareness, fluency, high frequency words, and the list just goes on and on and on. I can't tell you how many trainings I have been to in reading. And teachers, elementary teachers, feel very confident in reading instruction. However, the only trainings I feel like we get in math is just when we get a new textbook. So math is pretty cut dry, and you get a new textbook, they teach you how to teach from the text, but we are never really given the tools for teachers to feel confident in math instruction. So this training that we're going to be doing is broken down just like what I said for reading. So when we usually just go to a training in reading, we would just go for comprehension, or you just go for phonemic awareness. And we've broken that down in math, so they'll come to us for a training just in place value, or just in addition and subtraction. And we're going to show the strand from kindergarten to 5th grade so they can see how each grade level builds and correlates with one another, and they'll get a really strong foundational skills to feel more confident in math instruction. I'll just speak as an educator. I just feel like it's very lacking in math instructions, and teachers just need that confidence. Penny, do you?
Sorry, do you have anything to add? You'd like to add to that?
Well, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Penny Light, and I've taught for over 20 years. And I love to teach math. And I will agree with Whitley that we lack math. We lack training in our math skills. And some teachers, especially when they get to the higher levels, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, when you're actually going from visual to abstract, they have a hard time teaching those concepts. So, like Willie said, we have developed our lessons, so we go from, the basics and bridge them and build up on them so the teachers can see what they have prior, what standards they have prior to that skill that they're supposed to teach, and what they're going to look forward to that they have to teach. We've broken down those standards. We want to have a time where they can unpack or deconstruct those standards so that they really understand what should be their focus when they are teaching and actually going from visual, using manipulatives, to just the paper pencil style and how they can use math and why they can use math. And we just want to be an aid to the teachers to help them develop good lessons that they can feel confident when they go back into their classrooms that they can teach those.
Thank you very much, Penny. Elizabeth, who is also a Harris Center employee, who I've kind of dragged along with Becky into this process. Not necessarily kicking and screaming, but somewhat. But Elizabeth's going to highlight a little bit of the support that will be available for your teachers through this process.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Crawford, and as Becky talked about some of the national board components of this project, as a June Harless Center, we will provide support for that portfolio development. Our plan is to hopefully do some on-site visits if that's possible for further support. And as always, we will always be available via phone, email, virtual meetings if needed. Just anything that we can do to support the teachers on this journey.
Thank you. I think that's one of the things I'm most excited about this is that we have this team, and every member of this team, has not only strengths about the whole program, but also specific strengths to each part of the program. So I think, when your teachers do struggle with certain things, which, we all know is going to happen, it's very difficult to take professional development and implement it in your classroom. And we want to provide that support to them. And each member of this team has skills that I think will really benefit your teachers and therefore benefit your students. It's funny, I taught math for 21 years. I taught high school math, but I honestly don't even remember the math that I took in elementary school. It didn't have any effect on me. I don't recall being affected by mathematics at all really until I was in middle school. So I think, we can endeavor to affect these kids positively in math at a much younger age and get them much more comfortable with it and benefit them throughout their entire lives. So we're excited about this program. We're very happy to answer any questions that you may have about it. And that's what we have for you tonight. And we really appreciate your time.
You guys have any questions?
Has any of this been presented to any of our staff yet?
Our staff, no, but to our principals, our directors, we're working with June Harless on that. And then what we're gonna do is 2 Saturdays, we're in March, aren't we? In April, think about that, are gonna be for elementary. Then we're gonna do 2 Saturdays the following month for the secondary. And they can come on that Saturday, get paid a stipend, get fed, and then have stuff that they can take with them to go back in the classrooms and start trying it. We're not asking them to do everything at once, but we're giving them a taste of it, and then we're gonna come back and help give them more support. So June Harless will be around for a while, and they dovetail perfectly into what Dr. Edwards is working on. You heard one of them say, deconstruct the math standards. Well, before they get here, we're already practicing that with our principals to get with our teachers. So it's not gonna be an add-on, it's gonna be we're already doing, and it'll dovetail. They're just gonna come from the math point of view for the elementary, and then for the whole county, it'll be a K-12 STEM initiative with math, science, technology, engineering, and math. So we'll get it going pretty well. So it'll all tie in, so that's a good question with that.
Now, my follow-up was gonna be how well is it received, but it's a little premature for that.
Yeah, I would say if I'm a teacher in the elementary, and we're gonna have to own it, our scores haven't been great. So let's just do something totally different outside maybe their comfort zone, but yet give them support with all these people as a team. They're there for them. If you email any of these people, JD and I text quite a bit. He'll say, sorry to bother you. It doesn't bother me because I'm getting information from them. They're getting it from us. It's a two-way street. So hopefully everybody will take it as we're just lifelong learners. We don't quit, and that's what we should embrace right now. Again, I'm not name shaming or blaming because our score's been low, but we got to do something different, guys. And I know that they're quality professional development, and they're going to work with us. Wait till you see the STEM stuff. We're just talking math tonight. You haven't seen the rest of the team. Oh, you got a question from the president?
Yes, sir.
This board, Superintendent Warble, we've never been about name, shame, or blame. We have, and I'm not saying you're saying we were, we have always been about what you're trying to do here is you're trying to get outside the box and you're trying to find additional resources and approaches to help our teachers. And I think a lot of people acknowledge, and I heard one lady say it there, that coming out of college, you don't feel as well prepared to teach math in the elementary as probably you'd like to think you would. I can tell you that from the aspect of my wife's an elementary teacher. So I'd like for you to fill in the blank here if you would. I'm an elementary teacher. I've just finished the June Harless program, and I'm going to make a report and say, because I went through this program, I now can do this, and this much better, and I feel like a much better elementary math teacher. So could you kind of fill in those blanks for us, what a teacher would say after they finished your course?
Sure. I would say that one of the biggest things that they're going to come out of it with, well, a few big things, but one of them is a much clearer understanding of what the standards are and what the students are expected to learn based on those standards. And not only that, what can the students apply those standards to in their life moving forward? And, you know, I think that's the main one for me. But I also think that your teachers are going to be so much more comfortable with being able to impart knowledge about mathematics to their students. And I think your teachers will feel that success from their students in the work that they see from them, you know, hopefully eventually the test scores that they're getting from them as well. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think your teachers are going to lose that fear of math, and they're going to not, when they start to lose that fear of math, they're going to develop a much stronger sense of math with their students. And I think, to me, that's very exciting. I think that's the most important aspect of this that we're going to see. Does anybody have anything to add to that from our group?
Yeah, I don't care, to speak.
Sure.
I did not feel like a strong math teacher several years ago, and then I kind of went through a very similar program. The state asked me to be a part of the teachers that trained when the new Common Core standards rolled out, and the state hired me to train the other teachers. And I thought, oh my gosh, math is not my strong suit. And I went through a 2-week extensive training with the State Department, very similar to what we developed. And after those 2 weeks of just being trained every single day in standards and math, I was so much more confident in my classroom. And sometimes we're not even able to peel back. I think Penny and I have had this discussion when we were writing the lesson plans, is that when you have struggling readers, you know how to peel back and have the tools to help them in what they need to improve. In math, I don't think teachers know how to peel back. So if you're a 3rd grade teacher, you might not know what tools can I use to go back a couple grades if a child is struggling, like in small group. And so by doing this, the scope and sequence from kindergarten to 5th grade, and not just the grade that they teach, they'll be given those skills to peel back and also to advanced students as well. I just don't think we're ever given the tools in math like we are in reading. But I know my math instruction improved tremendously after going through that with the State Department. So we've kind of modeled it very similar to what we went through.
You guys have anything else? Well, JD and the team, I appreciate your time. I do know that we have a guy here on staff that loves Marshall. I'm not going to use his name tonight. But we are also hiring a new football coach, and he played at Marshall. And I just wanted to throw that in there for you guys because I know you appreciate the plug once in a while. So we do appreciate you guys. We'll keep in touch. And the board will do at the next board meeting. I'm going to create an MOU for all of us to work through so the board can approve that on the 25th, okay?
Okay, that
Sorry,
sounds
I'm
great.
kind of in the scene and not, there we go. Okay, thanks guys, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All for your time.
Yeah.
Can you just turn that off? The next person that we have to present tonight is Miss Emily Smith, and she was offered a seat to sit beside me, and for some reason she stayed seated right beside a young gentleman for some reason instead of sitting by me. But I won't hold that against her. But come on up here, Miss Smith, and talk to them a little bit about. You have dyslexia that you want to talk about?
That's right.
Okay, the floor is yours. Take your time. And have fun up there.
Good evening to the board and Mr. Warble. Like you said, I'm Emily Smith. I'm a sophomore at Summers County High School, and I'm here to talk to you about dyslexia. So first one I want to talk about is what is dyslexia. And most people, they think of it as reversing your B's and your D's, but it's actually a whole lot more than that. So dyslexia is a learning disability that mostly affects your reading and your spelling. So I'm going to explain about your spelling first. So when I was in elementary school, when I got into 3rd or 4th grade, I stopped taking spelling tests. The reason for that was because I would study from Monday to Friday and memorize how to spell the word. Now, if you asked me the next Tuesday to spell that word, I couldn't spell a single one of them. Memorized it for the test, and then it went out of my brain. So that's why we put spelling tests. Alright, well then, now we have reading. And some days, I have good days and bad days with my dyslexia, and my bad days are usually when I call my dyslexia is on fleek. Well, usually when that happens, when I'm reading, the words, they pixelate. It's very weird, and the letters, a word in the first word can move to the whole other side of the sentence, and the letters can move down, up, whatever, and sometimes they scrunch up together and they swirl around on the page, and you really can't fix it. It don't matter if you blink your eyes a couple times or nothing, you really that's just how you see it, and that's what makes it very hard to read. And I'm going to talk about how my life was in school with dyslexia. I remember when, in every single class period when we got handed out worksheets, I was always one to be last to turn my worksheet. When we did the West test, smart balance, any of that stuff, I was always the last one to finish. And that, and most teachers, when they hand out a worksheet, they say, "Alright, did you finish this in class? You don't have any homework." Well, 1 in 5 kids are dyslexic, so you have about 80% of your kids in your class are going to be having fun, watching TV, whatever, while the other 20% are going to be doing homework because they couldn't finish it in class because of their dyslexia. And that's just what it is. And I'm going to talk about some programs that kind of helped me get along. We'll talk about Learning Ella and Bookshare, and I'm going to do this in pros and cons. So Bookshare, one of their pros is that it only has one pro, but one of their pros is that it's free, don't cost no money. So that's about their only pro, and that's the only con with Learning Ella. Learning Ella, it costs some money, but that's its only con. And one of the cons in Bookshare is that it has a robot voice. Now, this is me, but if it has a robot voice, my mind is everywhere above what it's reading. And I just can't focus with that. And Learning Ella, it has a real person's voice in it. Another thing that Bookshare, another con of it, is that it has no emotion. Like if a woman is talking that has a woman's voice, and then a man's talking that has a man's voice, and say the conversation is getting heated, they kind of put some emotion into it. Bookshare doesn't do that, but Learning Ally does. And my mom and dad,
they got me, they paid for the learning ally, and I can find all my textbooks on there, and then some books for pleasure on there as well. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about some tools that the board has paid for to help me out. So the kids named to it as the purple puzzle piece, which is the read and write tool, and I'm going to talk about the two that I use the most, which is speech to text. And what it does is there's like a little microphone on it, and you push that microphone and you speak it, and it's a little slow, but you speak it and it puts it right in there, so your spelling's right, and it's all good there. The only thing is with it is that you gotta say period and comma when the punctuation is needed. There, and then you have text to speech, which means it reads it to you, but you see, you can go on Google, PDFs, websites, anything, and all you gotta do is highlight it, and then it'll speak it to you. And then there's another thing that's just a website that I used when I first came to the knowledge of it, and I like it a lot more because it's a little bit faster. But it's also called Speech Notes, and you just type that in there, and it has a little microphone as well, and you just speak it in there, and it puts it in there too. And I just prefer that first off because it was the first thing I used. And secondly, it goes a little bit faster. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about my future and what things I've been offered. So, a couple weeks back, I was offered the privilege to go talk at school. There are two boys there who are struggling with the tools, and I was offered to go and teach them how to use their tools. And when I go there, I'm very excited about it because I can tell the boys, you know, I know what they're going through. I'm in their shoes, and I really wish I would have had this stuff when I was in elementary school. But I can kind of be like a role model for them to, you know, even though you got dyslexia, yeah, it's gonna hold you back sometimes, but you can still be successful with it. So that's really all I got. You all got any questions for me?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
First, as a comment, thank you for going to help those other students because you've experienced, and that's very, very commendable of you. Question, is our school system doing things that really are meaningful and helpful to you?
The purple puzzle piece, which is the biggest thing because it's on all of our computers. So that's the big thing right there that y'all are doing for us. And there are some things like there's Barton Reading Program, which is the thing that taught me how to read. And that could be used mostly in elementary school and middle, but you can also do it in high school. But it's a really good program that my mom did with me when I was probably 3rd grade, and it taught me how to read. So.
That's wonderful, and you're fortunate to have two parents that are teachers. You're talking about what the words and the letters do because of the condition. Is that constant? Is that all the time? Or are there times when it's not as bad, or is it pretty much constant and the same all the time?
Well, we all have good days and bad days, but it happens most of the time, but sometimes it's not as bad as other days.
Okay. That's all I had. Anybody else have any questions?
I remember the presentation you done probably 4 years ago. I was very impressed with it.
And thank you for getting up here and talking to us. You did a very good job. We appreciate it.
Is there anything else that you know of that you need that is not available to you?
No, I'm doing pretty well making straight A's. So.
Well, good for you. If you think of something, you tell your mom and dad, and I'm sure they'll let us know, okay?
One thing I would like to say to that is that, you know, she talked about Learning Ally is what she uses for her books and her textbooks and all that, and it's a human voice. And I do pay for it. I think it's $130 a year for full access to anything. I don't know what the school system has, what kind of deal that they could make with it, but I know that it helps Emily to to concentrate and focus on what she's doing because, like she said, it's a human that's reading it. And in a textbook, they explain the maps. They'll say, look it on page this, we have this map, and it tells what this and this. And Bookshare, we've used Bookshare because it is free, and but it's also electronically read, just like what our stuff is. And so, you know, when you're reading a story, like a novel or something like that, the emotion that she was talking about there isn't there. You know, everything is pretty much even. And it makes it harder to understand, really, even for somebody who could read. If you're listening to something and they're, you know, then it doesn't sound exactly right, then you can become confused. And so, like I said, I'm never into purchasing of things, but I do know that I've purchased Learning Ally since Emily was in 3rd grade, and 2nd grade, I guess. And when I always ask her to come into IEP meetings when we do them, and before I always say, is there anything you want changed on your IEP or anything you want done differently? And I remember when she was little, one year she said, please don't take away my Learning Ally. And I said, you know, Learning Ally is an us thing. We will make sure you have your Learning Ally. But, you know, as far as helpful things, the purple puzzle piece was fantastic. And you have to thank Miss Knott for that because she was the one who purchased that. Ken pushed it out onto every single machine in the county. And students everywhere have been using that, and that's been fantastic. It's made their lives a lot easier.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's not just the kids who struggle with school and everything. Everybody, my parents, people think that they're tech wizards or whatever, so they think that I got something in that when I really don't. But I come around, like, when the kids have problems with their computer, they think that I can fix them. But every single time that I come over to their computer and we're doing like essays or something, they always have their purple puzzle piece open, and they're using it as well. So every kid that I've walked up to who has fun with their computer have their purple puzzle piece open.
Any other comments or questions?
This has been enlightening to me, just simply knowing the parental support that you have, and it just makes me, it just saddens me because I know that all parents in this situation don't have that support, and I just can't imagine the struggle that they go through. We definitely appreciate all that support.
Well,
Take somebody to work it though, and I say that to everybody that there is. Emily's bright, very intelligent. She has these issues. Everybody's got issues, you know. That's just the way it is. And but she has perseverance, and that is the character trait, really, above all, that has pushed her to be able to be as successful as she is because she has persevered when she's struggling, when she's having a bad day, when her letters are 3D and pixelated. She refocuses, and she's able to do that. And that's, like I said, that's a character trait that is, to me, very important.
Okay, Emily, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item 6, approval of minutes. We have February 19th, special meeting, February 25th, regular meeting, March 2nd, special meeting. Any questions from anyone regarding any of the minutes that you've looked over as presented to us by the superintendent? No questions? If not, then Chair moves that we approve the minutes from February 19th, February 25th, and March 2nd.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor of the chair, second by Mr. Angels. This board approved the minutes as presented to us by the superintendent for February 19th, February 25th, and March 2nd. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. 5 votes in affirmative, Mr. Worrell. Those 3 dates are approved for the record. Item 7, student success stories.
I think you just heard one.
I think we did.
Yep.
And it's good to know that we have kids back in school full time, because I'm sure we have lots of personnel in our system who can help identify the situation that Emily has dealt with very well, and that we'll be able to reach out and help additional students. And I bet if there's some students who need some help, Emily will be glad to help them sometime. Thank you, Emily. Item 8, instructional initiatives. We've heard a pretty good report from June Harless on instructional initiatives regarding math. Is there anything else, Superintendent Warble?
No, I think that's plenty tonight, so I think we're good there.
We have been fortunate here for quite some time, having a lot of community volunteerism. Do we have any specific examples to cite tonight?
Not until people come forth and let me know. I can tell you the ones I've seen, but you know, it's kind of hard until people tell me. You know, a lot of people are just unsung people who just do what's right, and they don't look for people to pat them on the back. They just do good work. But if anybody knows of them, please let us know so we can honor those people at board meetings.
We're at item 10, approval of bills. The chair moves that we pull out safe and sound bill and deal with it separately on behalf of Mr. Brogan. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Motion on the floor of the chair, second by Mr. Angel, that we pull out the safe and sound bill and deal with it separately. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining. 5 votes in the affirmative. So, at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to pay the bills with the exception of safe and sound.
I make a motion we pay the bills with the exception of safe and sound.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion on the floor by Vice President Farley, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that this board approve the bills with the exception of safe and sound. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining. 5 votes in the affirmative. The board approves the payment of the bills as presented to us by the superintendent and CSBO, with the exception of safe and sound bill. So at this point, chair moves that we pay the safe and sound bill as presented to us.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor of the chair, second by Vice President Farley, that this board approve the paying of the safe and sound bill. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining.
Aye.
Let the minutes reflect that by a vote of 4 in the affirmative, this board has approved paying of the safe and sound bill. There is one abstention of note, and that would be Mr. Brogan. Okay. Transfers and supplements, Superintendent?
No.
No old business I see?
No.
I like that. New business. We're at 13A. We'll deal with these separately. 13A, Superintendent Warble.
You have here just one vendor, Doitery, and that's the School Building Authority final payment of the HVAC at the high school.
Okay.
I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor of Mr. Angel, seconded by Mr. McBride, that this board approve the purchase or payment.
Final payment.
SBA on the, that is the final payment.
That is.
Final payment for the high school HVAC system. Any discussion?
The guy we had overseeing it, Mr. Hofford, is he okay with it?
Mr. Weathers, is he okay with it?
Okay,
Absolutely.
the only question I have.
And it did come under budget, so that's,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
we
good.
don't get any of it back.
No, well, you never had it in the first place.
True too.
You only had what it took to do it.
They only give you what it took to take care of it.
They gave us some cushion, but.
Yeah.
Any other discussion or questions regarding this motion on the floor? The motion being to approve the payment, the final payment to SBA on the HVAC at the high school. If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. 5 votes in affirmative, Mr. Warble, pay the bill. That brings us to item 13B, which will be discussion and/or action on proposed levy rates. And Superintendent Warble, for the public, would you mention why this process takes place and what's happening here?
I'll turn that over to our CSBO because she'll speak more intelligently, and I might as well just give her credit right now and just let you know she'll speak more intelligently. I can get through it, but she'll be clear and concise and to the point, and I think that's what you want to do.
Okay, so what happens every March, I think it's the 3rd day of March, the assessor is to give us what our what our rates are for the county,
and what our proposed values are. So this is just for your information tonight. What we have to do is we have to come back at the statutory meeting in April to approve these levy rates. But this is what our net taxes collected to be, what they're projecting that it would be, assuming everybody pays all their taxes and we get everything for next fiscal year. So that's what that is. So right now we just hold it until our statutory meeting in April, and then at that point in time we'll approve it and we can move forward.
How's this compared to last year?
We are a little bit down compared to last year. However, because our taxes are a little bit lower, than our state aid is gonna be a little bit higher. So
And it's probably gonna be worse because of COVID, when you start looking at this, so. I don't mean to paint a gloom picture, but we gotta be realistic about things.
That's why I asked.
You're talking about
Yeah.
the state aid money.
Well, just everybody, I mean, I just don't see it to be too bright and sunny, so. But luckily with some CARES Act money, maybe we can use that to help out. But again, I want people to know there's a lot of strings attached to that, so I don't want people to think it's a rainy day fund and we're gonna just get out of this. We have to be very judicious with that money, so.
So the levy rates is a percentage of the amount of taxes that happen to be collected that year, that percentage being allocated to the school board, and the taxes are down, then we get a smaller piece of the pie. We still get a percentage of what there is. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Anything else, Ms. Crook? So we will look at this, and this meeting, of course, will not be adjourned, it'll be recessed. We'll come back on April, was it April 2nd?
20th.
20th, I'm sorry. April the 20th, and at that time when we'll vote and take action on this. Everybody, okay? All right, fine. That brings us to item 13C under new business. It says approve agreement between Western University Extension Service and Summers County Board of Education.
Basically, you all have a copy of this. Instead of reading it to you, you can see it's a compliance with civil rights laws. And you can see Dr. Knott deals with student services and anything with Title IX or special ed services. To work with the university and to make sure everything is, being adhered to, I'll say. So this is a compliance issue to work with them.
As you all can see in your folder, you have a copy of this agreement, and it's been authorized by Dr. Knott with her signature. Any questions? If not, then the chair moves that we approve the agreement between West Virginia University Extension Service and Summers County Board of Education based upon the certification by Dr. Knott.
I'll second.
There's a motion on the floor by the chair, seconded by Vice President Farley, that this board approve the agreement between Western University Extension Service and Summers County Board of Education, and we have the certification by Dr. Knott. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained. 5 votes in the affirmative, this agreement has been approved. That brings us down to item 14, personnel items. We have, service personnel, and it's been posted on the agenda for the proper amount of time. Josiah Cox and Ashley Gill, and that is for bus number 151, bus operator, effective March 11th, and then for bus number 152, bus operator, also on the same date of March 11th. Credentials, bus operator, funding by the county. Any chairs open to motions?
I'll make a motion to approve the hiring or the bus routes for Joshua Cox and Ashley Gill.
Chair seconds it. Is there any discussion? The question before us that we're going to now vote on is approval of the routes for Josiah Cox and Ashley Gill. No discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained. 5 votes in the affirmative, Superintendent Orville. Those are approved. This brings us forth now to item 14, employment of coach. This would be head football coach at Summers County High School. The name is Joshua Evans. pending documentation certification, which is normal. Salary to be determined, of course, funding source is the county. The chair moves that we accept Superintendent Wardlow's recommendation for Joshua Evans as the new head football coach at Summers County High School.
I'll second that.
Motion on the floor of the chair, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that this board approve superintendent's recommendation of Joshua Evans as the new head football coach at Summers County High School. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to go into executive session. 69A-4, personnel characteristics.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Angel to go into executive session.
I'll second it.
It is seconded by Vice President Farley. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. By a vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, this board will go into executive session. We will return shortly. We'll go
Just in the back.
in the back, okay. So we'll go back in just a few moments.
I did. Well, few of little things.
The time is 7:13. The chair calls this meeting back to order after coming out of the executive session. Prior to executive session, there was a motion on the floor by the chair, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that this board approve the superintendent's recommendation of Josh Evans as head football coach at Summers County High School. Is there any discussion? Since there is no discussion, all in favor of the question put before us, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained. Superintendent Warble, please offer our appreciation to Mr. Evans and tell him he has a 5-0 vote and full vote of confidence, and that we appreciate his interest in Summers County, and we look forward to being a member of our community.
I'll call him tonight.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, statutory meeting on April 20, 2021 to reconvene. Is that just want to make sure that we don't
Forget.
adjourn this meeting?
No, but the other thing is, I just have 3 things to report out. First of all, this is the personnel season, and this week I personally went to each person that will be affected by RIF, transfer, or mutual agreements. Anybody that gets transferred or mutual agreements, that's not that big of a deal usually. But when you get RIFed for reduction in force, you're telling someone they're no longer working, and it has nothing to do with their performance. It just has to deal with numbers. And if I can press upon anybody that's listening to this, we cannot put public education in the crosshairs and push people out of public ed. This school year alone, we've had 100 students go to homeschool, and we've had some people in public ed promote homeschool. I personally have nothing against homeschool, but I really support public ed because I'm a product of public ed and I work in public ed. And I think we do a real good job working with everybody. The point I'm getting at is when you take 100 students and you multiply that by about $5,000 for state aid, you're talking $500,000. And anytime numbers go down or enrollment goes down, you can't keep your force together. You have to reduce it. Once we get more numbers or more job postings come back up, those people that get RIFed will be recalled first. So they'll have an opportunity for that job first before anybody else. That's the good news. But the bad news is when you look people in the eyes and they tear up and it's almost like they think it's them and it's not. It has nothing to do with them personally. It's just the way business is. But each person not only sat down and I talked with them, but they'll get a certified letter in the mail and they'll get regular mail. I like to do it both ways because then we're covered to make sure they got a copy of the conversation we had. So that has taken place. The other thing that you all have in your hands are the policies from Trey. Trey will be with us on the 25th to go over these policies. I haven't really read through these myself, so I can't answer any questions other than I need to read through them as well. You guys read through them. You'll see that it's color copied, so you see the strikeouts and comments. And then on the 25th, if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, that's where Trey will take that information from you all. And then from my understanding, then once we get something together, we can put it out for public comment for our public to respond to said policies. If we don't see many comments, or we do see comments, then we'll address that and then move forward with starting to accept these policies because now they've been actually reviewed. In the last 40 years, it's not your fault, but it's your problem, and this will work through it. I know, Mr. Brogan, you said that it'd be nice to get some more support on policies. I want to talk to Howard O'Call with the Boards Association. Maybe we can bring him in too, because I know you thought, this is kind of interesting and didn't know about all these policies, but this will now put us in the know, and it is kind of laborious, and it is a little bit like reading or watching paint dry, because just reading to me, like policies, it does get a little old.
I just feel like we need to know.
Yes, we do need to know. But that'll make us stronger and better as we move forward. And then the last thing that I had to report on, I'm going to yield to either Mr. Lester or Mr. Widow. We have a situation that has been rectified with E-rate. And I don't want to speak too much about E-rate because I won't sound as intelligent. So again, I'm going to yield to these gentlemen to give you a quick update on E-rate. Nothing's bad, but you know how we shut down a school and we consolidated those kids into another building. Well, that changes the identification number of that school for next school year in Weavis. That's been taken care of. We talked to the E-rate people, but for some reason, things got messed up with communication. Not our fault, not their fault. It's just change, and sometimes you gotta go through that. It's not how the situations pop up, it's how you handle them. And Mr. Widows called me last night and let me know we're good. Mr. Lester also let me know we're good. But I would let you guys kind of walk them through what's going on with E-rate since we closed one school and moved students and how that affected our county.
Mr. Lester can give you more technical language on it, but just to give you an overview, because of those changes in regards to the middle school, it's no longer an instructional facility. So we have to move our Wi-Fi services and how we get our internet and stuff from the state over to the next building. And in order to have that covered, we have to go through E-rate, so we get those federal funds to pay for that and to keep our Wi-Fi current. So we've had to send out file a form 470 and an RFP to get all that secured and done, and to get the bids on it and things like that. So we've had two changes: relocating what we call the knock. Ken can talk a little bit about that if you've got questions on that, and then upgrading our speed down at the middle school and high school to accommodate the additional students and things that we've got down there. So it's just a matter of going through the loops and the hoops and things with E-rate, and make sure we've got our ducks in a row so that we meet their requirements and things like that. So and we've had to sign some new entity numbers, where we've made we've combined the schools and things. So it's just part of the process.
You have anything to add, Mr. Lester?
Well, due to the way Suddenlink does business, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Each school has a fiber optic cable that runs directly back to the current NOC, which is on the south end of the old middle school building. That needs to get moved down to where the maintenance building would be. So all those 5 terminations of that fiber has to get moved with it. So in doing that, we now have to rebid out, and we did an RFP that probably will come in over $20,000, but you got to remember E-rate pays for 90% of our internet bill. So to keep us legal with E-rate, its RFP went out last night to move that fiber optic cable and to add and double the speed to the high school, middle school complex.
Are we having any trouble with high school and middle school at the present time?
There have been some spotty issues where you have a concentrated area of video streaming going on. We have had some issues that we've had to resolve. We've had some access points go bad. We went in and replaced them. But one of the highest video demand days was Inauguration Day. And so you could actually see that spike on the stats. So we keep very good statistics on where the bandwidth is and where it's going, but we're doubling the middle school, high school, so it'll go from 1 gig per second to 2 gigs. And then our backhaul to the State Department, which will come in at the maintenance building, and that's what Eric did last night, is sign the 470 to allow us to do an RFP to move those terminations of fiber from the south end of the building to the part of the building we're keeping. So we wanted to make sure you guys knew about that. There is an RFP. It's really for a continuation of a service that you guys already have, but it is, we wanted to keep you guys in the loop.
Sounds good.
With the upgrades and moving the fiber optic cable, you're confident that the building will have enough speed to handle all the additional usage there, and it'll be satisfactory for what we're trying to do down
Yeah.
there. using the internet.
I ran a speed test actually today from the high school at the end of the day, and they're getting almost the full 1 gigs per second. And what we did to get that, it was only getting 700. And the router that was in there was almost 15 years old. And so essentially we replaced that router with another piece of equipment because the router's overhead of that router, we were bleeding off about 300 to 400 megs per second. So now we're actually getting, and we didn't have that earlier. So now we've went to take advantage of the 1 gig per second. And then come July 1st, so when everybody comes back, they'll go from 1 gig to 2 gigs. The equipment already in the building can handle that. So, yes.
Mr. Witters, you mentioned the old middle school. That jogged my memory of something on the bills. There's asbestos abatement. Is that for that school, and how long do we have to keep that up?
That was at Jumping Branch, probably
Okay.
the last one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have with my report, sir.
Superintendent Ward, on behalf of the board, we appreciate the way you handled that RIF process and speaking to people. Twice in my career, I experienced a rift. It's not a fun time. It's a very, you feel, there's a lot of things go through your mind when that happens. So, guys, I can tell you haven't experienced that as an educator. We are and should be appreciative of the fact that you dealt with that on a personal basis, and so thank you.
Welcome.
That brings down discussion of next agenda. Do any members have any requests or any discussion about the next agenda?
I'd like an update on what we found out on the water at the high school.
We are in the process of that. What I'm concerned about is I don't know if we'd have a leak or not. Because if you change out that meter, it hasn't been changed yet, but Charlie is looking everywhere he can. But from what I've been told with people with plumbing, I've just asked people who've been in the business, they said you could possibly have a leak and water could drain right down to that river and you would not know, because when water seeks the least resistant path, it could drain in such a way that you would not know that you have a leak. But having said that, Charlie has tried to shut off different points, and he shut off football field, he shut off the CTE building. What we need to do probably over Easter break, Good Friday, that weekend, we might just have to shut down the whole facility, everything, and just see if it keeps running, because we don't know what the problem is. But I'll give you an update, but I don't know if you'll have one on the 25th, because right now we're in the process of changing out a meter.
We might be able to put a dye into that and see if it's coming out in the river.
It's funny you say that, because I was thinking that, but I thought, is that the right way to do it, since that's a national river? And if it is,
Guys are harmless.
you say that.
We got a gentleman coming next week that's gonna give us some options, that's actually doing some work over here in Hinton area, and he's got some experience. He's from up north, in this issue, so I'm gonna let him just put a set of eyes and get some feedback from him.
Appreciate it.
Superintendent Warble, at this time, are you in a position to give us a little bit of an overview on what all we'll be doing on the next, at the meeting on the 25th?
What all we be doing?
Yeah, I mean, is it, we were asking about, putting things on there and whatnot. Is it going to be a meeting as you see it now that's going to have a lot of things to do?
Well,
I didn't mean to put you on the spot on it, and I have, but so.
well, I'll tell you, I don't know, because here's what I've been focusing on. I'm trying to get ready on Tuesday for that big presentation.
Yeah.
But I will say this, it'll probably be a traditional board meeting, kind of like this, about an hour and a half, but we have some things that we'll need to give you some updates on. And I think, we do have Jumping Branch presenting. That is huge. So that would be one of our student initiatives or success stories that'll be tied in there. We also need to start looking at, in your policy, you'll see LSICs have changed. Technically, we only need to look at one of our school systems, but what I'd like to propose to you guys is maybe take like a work session LSIC where we have a meeting at 9 in the morning and have them come to here and report out for about an hour to tell us everything that's going on. 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how long you guys want to do that. But we can talk about that at the next board meeting, how you guys would like to see that.
Then just put that on the agenda.
I'm
We'll have
very,
discussion,
yeah,
action on
we'll do that, because LSIC, it'd be nice to let you guys see all these initiatives that people have done to try to make sure kids get educated and get their wellness checks in. So I can tell you at this point in time, we're about 2 weeks, tomorrow will be 2 weeks that we've had 5 days a week of school, and tell you what, the kids seem like they're back to that normal feeling. The only difference I see now with the schools is kids wearing masks, and the middle school, it's kind of interesting watching them carry dividers. So you got masks and dividers and books, and the little ones over here, and I've been at all the buildings. It's just great to see all these new innovative ways to keep people socially distanced as much as one can when you're in a school setting. So I got to give kudos to our staff and our kids. But you know you've gotten back to normal school when you have a discipline report. So that's just the cost of doing business with disgruntled employees. Nope, it's disgruntled little ones. But everybody's done a pretty good job considering that. But as the weather gets nicer, it is sure hard to be back in school, because that's, someone said today, I'm glad we're having a little rain tomorrow, because it might make them not look out the window and want to go outside to have recess time. But that means we're getting back to a traditional complaints about that kind of stuff. I hope that's all we're complaining about is the weather, guys. So give kudos to our staff for adjusting as we move forward.
Regarding the next agenda item, to the extent it's possible, you know, new coach coming in and others, will it be possible to possibly sooner than later hire all the assistants that we're going to need for next fall for all of our fall sports?
I don't know if we can do that by the 25th, but what Marcia's trying to work on now is, since we've gone through the whole RIF transfer mutual assignments, we're looking at getting you all ready for the 25th in case someone does want to come forth and talk to you all. Now, they have until tomorrow to let us know, but if someone does say something on Monday, I'm not going to hold them to tomorrow's date. I want to work with people, so if there is a legit, I'm not going to sit there.
Talk about possible hearing.
Yeah, possible hearing. That could be a possibility on the 25th. That's the biggest thing that we have to focus on, our hearings.
All right. Vice President Farley,
Just
I
one
don't want to
second.
put any
You about to let her
you go ahead, Mr. Brogan, I'm sorry.
No adjournment.
I was just looking at our April meetings,
Yes.
and the 20th is when we reconvene in this. And then we're scheduled on the 22nd for a regular meeting just 2 days later. Is there any way to combine those two? Can we at least look into it?
We probably could. Because what you would do, from what I understand, I'll have to look at that, but I'm not, well.
You may not be able to, but I'm just trying to save a little money.
I got you. Sometimes what you can do is you could have a meeting before a meeting. You meet for 10 minutes, adjourn, and then you take a break for 5 or 10, then you come back. Let me look into that. That's a good idea.
Do that, but I don't think we'd be able, I think we'd have to adjourn that special meeting, and then you could have publicized under the Open Meetings Act, the other one, and so we would just take a break, come back, and
Yes.
then we adjourn it all together.
What I've seen in the past is people have, like, if your meeting's at 6 o'clock, you can have the meeting at 5:50, and you have the agenda, and then you have an agenda for the other one, you adjourn and start the other one back up.
So I think as long as you got a break between them.
You do. And the other thing, that makes me think of something, Mr. Brogan. I have talked to the commissioners. They are fine to let us start using the memorial building. I would propose that we use it towards the 22nd of April, because there is one of the Thursdays they already had a scheduled meeting. So I'm just going to let them know that we'll start either the last Thursday or the fourth Thursday of April the 22nd, or we just wait till May. But they're all excited about us using the facility, and I think they really like the idea that we're going to use technology money that we have to update their technology, and we can use it, they can use it, and more importantly, when we have plays, our kids can use it. So it's a win-win for everybody. They had no problem with that.
No longer will there be a problem of seating. All of you been in there, there's gonna be plenty of seating. There's a boardroom up top where we can go into executive session, and it's just a win-win situation for everybody, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, don't wanna put any pressure on you, Vice President Farley, but don't mess this up, okay?
All right. I make a motion, we recess. The time is now 7:34.
Okay, we stand recessed.